This is a quick video just to explain bearings. If I were standing somewhere and I'm going to turn from this location right here, we'll call this point A, and I wanted to turn north 32 degrees east, I spy in the northern direction, which is always up, that's north, and I would turn in this direction 32 degrees towards the, as we think of a compass, this is to the east. So I'm going to turn 32 degrees east, and therefore this is the pathway that I'm talking about. These dashed lines are just what I spied. I looked north, and then I turned 32 degrees towards the east, and that is what a bearing would talk about. So here is another problem where if I have, here's point B, and for point B, I'm staring to the north. The first letter is always telling you which direction you're staring. So I'm staring to the north, and I'm going to turn 48 degrees towards the west, knowing that the west is to our left, which means I would have been facing this way and then turning 48. So this is a turn here of 48 degrees, and then I would have my bearing. Now, I'm not doing this necessarily to scale, but I'm just showing you that that's what I would get. And so bearings is on the north, south, east, and west scale, kind of like the axes, kind of like your X and Y axes. And then it's telling you how to turn starting in one direction. Now let's do another couple problems here. This one here is where I would be at some point, and I'll call this point D. And in point D, I would start off by staring down to the south, and then I'm going to be turning east. Now remember, east is to the right this way. So I would have been staring down this way and turning to the east 20 degrees. So I would turn 20 degrees eastward, and that is the pathway that I'm talking about. This is what you'd end up drawing. This is just me showing you how I would be viewing it. South, turn 20 degrees to the east. This one here, I'm going to have point F. And point F says, once again, you're going to start by staring at the south, and then we're going to be turning to the west, which is again to the left in our compass. So I would have been staring south and turned 60 degrees. So this would have been a 60-degree turn, and that's the direction I'd be going. You would then be given some, miles or feet or a distance that you would travel on that pathway, and that would be the length of that segment. Now let's look at another situation. We're going to see two different bearings coming into play here. So this is saying I'm going south. So I have an object, it's me or something else. I call this this point right here. We'll call that point G, and I'm traveling south. So this is the direction that I am traveling. I am always traveling south like this. I go some distance south. Let's just say I stop right here at this point, which I will call point A. And at this point, I look to the south, which is the direction I'm going, and then it says turn 65 degrees to the west. Since the west is to the left, it means I'm going to turn 65 degrees to the west. And I look out, and somewhere over here, there's an object. So I'm just going to draw it like that and say I'm looking at some object. And I don't know the distance right now of that object. But what I do know, I just see it. I just see something out here shining, out in the distance. I continue on my pathway, going down, 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 down. And at some point, I stop again, and I'll call this point B. And it says this time, even though I'm traveling to the south, I turn behind me and look north and turn 80 degrees to the west, and I see the object again. Now remember, this means I turned 80 degrees to the west. If you look at this, what's happened is this object right here, which I will call point X, we've created a triangle where this angle is 65 degrees, this angle is 80, and then we can figure out the third angle. So again, we were traveling south, we stopped at some location, turned south 65 degrees west, saw an object, then we continued from point A. This was just us stopping to see something. We continued down, stopped, looked behind us because we looked north, and then turned 80 degrees to the west and saw the same object. Okay? So that's kind of a very brief description of bearings.